Hi, my name is Josh. Welcome back to another cigar review. Today I am smoking the Romeo Y Julieta Reserva Real. A little bit about this cigar. It was created for the fans of the 1875, the original Cuban version, but something to be a little more mild, also a little more complex. So what they came up with is they came up with this really beautiful cigar that has really rich aromas, but it's not going to be overpowering as far as the strength of the cigar. So what they did was they put an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper on here, which is going to give it that smoothness. It's going to give it that smooth kind of creaminess. And so usually with a Ecuadorian Connecticut cigar, you're usually going to get that smoothness. It's going to be mild, but at the same time it's not going to have very much complexity as far as flavors. So in order to really balance that out with complexity and richness, they added a Nicaraguan filler. And so usually, again, this would usually be a very mild cigar, but with that Nicaraguan Ligero filler, it's actually going to be more of in between mild and medium as far as the body strength and the taste. So I still think it's a very good beginner cigar. I think this is a cigar that could really get anybody into cigar smoking. This is actually one of the first cigars I've ever smoked. It's highly rated. 91 in Cigar Aficionado, so there's that. But I'm a big fan of this cigar. I've smoked it a lot of times before, and I'm very excited to share this experience with you guys as well. Also, this will be my last Romeo and Julieta review for a while. This isn't intended to be a Romeo and Julieta channel, but I really think that Romeo and Julieta makes really good cigars, and it's one of my favorite companies, so I decided to kind of start my channel up with a few of those. So my next review, I haven't decided what I want to smoke yet, but I'm sure it's going to be something worth watching. So yeah, I think with all that being said, let's go ahead and cut this cigar and let's light it up. As always, I'm going to be using this guillotine cutter. Now, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but this is a cutter that is made by Gurkha. Again, it's a very good cutter, actually. It's got serrations, which will help. It helps cut it, for one, but for two, I think it helps increase its lifespan because I've used this cigar cutter a lot, and it still cuts as if I just pulled it out of the box. So it's a pretty good cutter. So as always, you don't want to cut past the cap. Just give it a cut. You want to kind of just dust off that tobacco. Yeah, just doing some initial, before I light it, I'm just going to inspect it again. And on the nose, it's really good. I'm getting some sweetness, I'm getting some spice, almost kind of like a sweet hay. Hay, grass, kind of that. But when I smell the foot, where the filler is exposed, I'm getting more of those dry earth, musky notes, musky smell, which is a very good thing. So this is what I can expect from the cigar. Again, as I kind of mentioned before, you're going to get those sweet aromas and the sweet notes from the wrapper, but the filler is going to bring it that richness, that deep, fuller flavor. So yeah, I'm excited about this cigar again. So as always, just going to toast it a bit. I'm already smelling it just from just this little amount of smoke that's coming off of it. It's sweet. Smells great. just going to touch it up a bit. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm getting that same kind of sweet aroma that I was getting off of just smelling the wrapper. It's sweet, the smoke output is good. It's a little bit spicy. A little, actually more spicy at the beginning than the 1875 was. Alright, well, I'll get down into the first third and then we'll discuss it a little more. Alright, so I'm in the middle of the first third, and you know, I'm going to be really honest, it's actually it's not a very slow burner. It's actually burning pretty quickly. But again, on the flavor, I'm getting some smoothness. The smoke is silky smooth. It's really smooth. It's very light. The output is not tremendous, but there's also that richness in the finish. So I'm getting cedar is definitely the main flavor that I'm getting from this cigar, but there's also a richness on the finish. And when I retrohale the cigar, again, retrohale passing through my nostrils, it's very similar to the 1875 that I reviewed last time. Overall though, it's burning sharply so far. The ash is holding very well, and yeah, I think let's smoke it down through the second portion and we'll see how it goes from there. Again, this cigar was sponsored by Major Jamie Downs of the Texas Rangers, and again, thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much for allowing me to do what I love and share it with the world. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm down in the second portion of the cigar, and it's a pretty straightforward cigar, really. So I'm getting that same cedar note. It's still smooth, it's still creamy, and on the retrohale, it is kind of just increased a little bit on the spice, but it's still pretty creamy as well. It's still smooth. I'm not really getting that butterscotch anymore that I was earlier, but I'm definitely getting more cedar. Again, the smoke output is great. Again, the ash is holding awesome. So it's been a pretty good cigar so far. Again, it's still burning, not very slow, which is not a big deal really. And so, yeah, let's continue to smoke this, and then we'll get down to the last portion of the cigar. So stick with me. Alright, well, I'm down to the last portion of the cigar. Again, it's still burning pretty sharply, and also a little quicker. So, you know, I've been at this cigar for maybe about 40 minutes to an hour now, but the flavor has actually become richer. The smoke is still really smooth, but that creaminess that I was getting is not there anymore, actually. It's a lot more cedary overall. So that cedar is really, really ramped up in this cigar. And I'm also getting a very strong leather note on this portion. And so I have been getting a little bit of a leather note throughout the cigar, but it wasn't really enough that I thought I needed to really talk about it. But it's still good. It's something I could honestly smoke every day, really. And so, yeah, it's a great cigar. I'm going to go ahead and smoke it down and finish it up, and then I'll deliver my final thoughts. Alrighty, so I'm down to the last bit, and it's getting pretty bitter at this point. So I think it's about time to be done with this cigar. But I will say that it had a really good flavor, and it was very prominent, especially in the cedar note and in the leather as well. The smoke was smooth, the retrohale was easy, and but if I'm being honest though, it's not as complex as I wanted it to be. It's not as complex as other reviews might suggest, in my opinion. But with that being said, it's still a really good cigar, especially for beginner smokers. So if you're looking for your first cigar, or if you've had bad experiences starting off with cigars, I think this is a great route to go, because it's got just enough flavor and it's got just enough complexity to really help expand your palate, help expand your interest in cigars. And I think it's a really good price as well, at just under $8, depending on the size, depending on the vitola of the cigar. So it's a really good buy, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody, honestly. So with that being said, I think I'll call this one done, and I want to thank you again for watching this, and stick around for my next cigar review. So yeah, well, y'all have a good one.